pulled it through.
Dee Dee Foster of Browns Gymnastics in nearby Orlando, Florida, as they, again, coming off the team championship of last evening. And, of course, Dee Dee challenging for a couple of both the vaults and the bars here earlier. Let's take a look at the last pass they were gasping about here at the edge of the exercise mat.
This is called power in reserve. When she needs it, it's there. Who says strength isn't important in women's gymnastics? It sure is.
She did just pull that over, didn't she?
Absolutely.
Dee Dee Foster again, her first here on the floor exercise. And, of course, after last night's competition, the numbers will be combined. Now let's move back to the beam. The youngest competitor again, this is Shannon Miller. She's only 10 years of age, and again, her exercise on the beam.
You know, Kelly, everybody says the beam is only 4 inches wide, like it's a real liability, but when you're this tiny, it may be an asset. For her, that beam is almost twice as wide as a larger girl.
Yes, and she is working very comfortable up there. It's very important just to relax and perform your routine just like you do in practice, not to get nervous. Makes the beam, her feet make the beam look so wide.
As Kelly well knows, it is not. Kelly, by the way, was the young lady that patented the now famous Garrison mount onto the beam. Got to revolutionize the mounting of the beam exercise.
Here she prepares for a very hard pass. It's flip-flop, and a layout step out. Perfect landing, no error. Of course, you have to go down on the balance beam once in your routine, as it is a requirement. Just like a leap, a full turn. They're all requirements. You have to fulfill them in order to score the highest that you can.
I was going to say that, to me, this little girl is such a great athlete. The only thing she lacks is a little elegance, and you can see it on the beam probably more than any other event.
You can tell she is young, but she is a hot dog. She will be, you know, up there in several years.
I love the terminology, a hot dog.
Well, I called her a mighty munchkin. Now Kelly calls her a hot dog. This poor little
Here
thing.
she goes again. Flip-flop, layout.
Oh, that was something.
That was just excellent.
Slight loss of balance there, going again in the middle of the beam exercise, but again a good performance by Shannon Miller, 10 years of age. Again, she is one of the youngest of the competitors going now out of Oklahoma City with the Dynamos. Exercise as again we look on at Shannon's continuation and are ready for the dismount.
Nice double back. She's going to be awesome one day. Already is, actually.
Kim Leslie out of Richardson, Texas, the Richardson Recreation Center, sending their team to San Antonio, and Kim Leslie.
That's an Arabian step out. Good transitional tumbling move to a perfect double tuck. Very nice. This girl's an excellent tumbler. Good technique, long flip-flops, good split leaps. Full twist dive roll, that's an unusual skill for a girl, isn't it, Kelly?
Yes, many girls usually try to stay more conservative, but that is a very unique skill. She will get some originality for that, and it should help her routine with the score.
I'll tell you, the Romanians stole the show from not only the other women in the World Championships, but also the men. They out-tumbled the men. It was amazing. These girls are just incredible in their tumbling now.
We're just as powerful as everyone else.
Really?
We've really started to fool the rest of the gymnastics community.
This change of pace in their music is a common thing too, right? Is that in the rules? Do they have to?
Actually, she doesn't have to have a change of music pace, but she does, you know, it is also a time to rest and to prepare for her later tumbling passes.
Nice double twister.
That was very interesting music, a little bit different than Dee Dee's, but usually you pick it out, you know, representing your own personality.
Well, as Kim Leslie out of Richardson, Texas concludes her floor exercise, again, the tabulations go into the computer, and we've already had 2 champions named here this afternoon, and we've got 2 more still to come. We've got more of our competition on the beam and the floor exercise from San Antonio right after this. Don't go away.
look.
Wendy Bruce, who has already captured the uneven parallel bars, makes her appearance on the beam. This is not one of her stronger events in last night's competition, 9.35. But again, this is one of 4 of the events she'll be competing in, all 4 today.
This right here is a very unique move. A lot of the Romanians use this type of movement when they were at the World Championships. This, again, is a lot original, and she will get extra points in her routine because of it. Here she does a punch front. She sticks it perfect. Makes it look like it's so easy. There's the full turn net. We all know it's a requirement.
We're hearing background music, Kelly, on beam. A little falter there, but there was some talk about having beam music. Is that a dead issue now?
Dead. Hopefully they will not have it. I know a lot of girls like to have music while they're going on the balance beam, just to help let them relax. I certainly do, and I know it's just more comforting than just silence.
One of the things I would think of the music, though, if it were not orchestrated by yourself, if someone else put in, you would kind of try to do something to the beat of the music sometime, unbeknownst to you. And it could be a little distracting, I would think.
Yes, and also it's very difficult, balance beam, just in general. And if they decided to put music with it, you really couldn't keep up the pace, especially if you fell.
She's done a good job, but she's just had a couple of imbalances at the end of sequences. But she stayed on, and nice double tuck dismount.
Very powerful, you can tell. The low back was very, very high on her dismount.
So is Wendy Bruce, one of our earlier champions on the bars. Not real happy, I don't think, with her performance on the beam. Kevin Brown, her coach from Orlando. She actually lives in Fort Lauderdale and lives now in Orlando with Kevin and his wife as they train her in the Browns gymnasium. And hopefully for bigger and better things than what we've seen this afternoon, we can anticipate some great performances from her coming up. Tina Snowden from the Caroli gym over in Houston. This is her first exercise of the afternoon. Tina Snowden.
Full in, back out. Excellent. Real good landing. That's a full twist on the first flip and a back flip on the second flip. This music sounds kind of Romanian, Kelly. What do you think?
It certainly does. Tina is just one of those girls that really, really performs to the crowd and loves to smile and participate. As you can tell, she just looks like she really is enjoying it out there.
Oh, there's a full twisting back handspring. I like that.
That is also a very unique move.
Now, this may be an early season meet, but I haven't seen a whole lot of major bobbles. I mean, these girls are in pretty good shape, I think, for early in the season. They seem to be doing a real good job. There's a whip through to flip-flop to double tuck, and she pulls it right under. Excellent. Now, let's hope she can pull her dismount out.
If she sticks this final run, she'll be hard to beat.
Wow. She did a full in, back out, and 2 doubles in the routine.
Oh, yes.
Impressive.
Tina Snowden. Bella Caroli's Gymnastics in Houston, Texas. And she walks off with a smile that she enjoyed throughout her entire routine. And let's look at that last pass that she did indeed kind of steal the hearts of the crowd with it.
Frankly, I expected a double twist after all that flipping and twisting and stuff, but she did another double and landed it really well.
So Tina Snowden, all smiles still as she has concluded her event here on the floor exercise. Now we move back to the balance beam once again as our next competitor, number 103, Tricia Fortson.
This girl's really long and lean.
She's very pretty to watch because her body is just beautiful.
Is that an advantage on beam or a disadvantage?
It can work both ways. You learn to adapt and learn to use your body in the best way possible. It's awful pretty to watch, though.
She, by the way, just a week ago was competing in the Australian Cup and placed 9th overall. As they just try to get that early competition, getting ready for the big ones, so to speak, this summer.
was a round-off layout. A bobble, of course, on the end, but she saved it. It's very important to save those errors.
Is that rated higher than a flip-flop layout? To me, that's harder to do round-off layout.
Yes, it is. A round-off is a C element, which is fairly difficult, and then the layout is a D, whereas with a flip-flop, it's only a B.
Wow, that was cool.
That is very, very original. I've only seen very few people in the world do that skill.
That's an aerial cartwheel facing sideways?
Yes.
Pretty
Nicely
incredible.
done, too. There's her full turn. Small error. She stayed on, though. And her dismount, a round-off double full.
So again, not totally flawless, but again, Tricia Portson with some rather unusual moves that she'll be trying to perfect here in the next few weeks, and the judges put the pencil to it, and tabulations are made in the beam and the balance beam. As again, Tricia comes off, consoled by one of her teammates over there. I believe that's Nadia Mason.
I was really impressed by the elements in her routine. She just lacked a little elegance, I guess, but if she can perfect it, like you say, those little tiny bobbles there are what's costing her a big score.
Kelly, is a bobble, or is there one more than over as far as the deductions are concerned?
Some bobbles are only minor, and some, of course, are major. They can range from 1 to 4/10, and then, of course, if you fall, it is a 5/10 deduction.
So the conclusion there. Now we move back to the floor exercise once again. Our next competitor on the floor will be Sandy Woolsey. Woolsey from Scottsdale, Arizona. The Desert Devils once again. Gotta love that name. Good performance by Sandy in an earlier on the uneven parallel bar, placing third there.
One of her coaches is Stormy Eaton, who's a former NCAA floor exercise champion, so I'm sure they got their tumbling. Oh, golly. A little short on that. She didn't pull her feet under her far enough on her flip-flop to get the rotation necessary to complete the double flip. There's a whip through to double twist. Nicely done. So I think she's recovered her composure now.
Here she is with some pirouettes on the floor. She really has come back after that fall. I know it's often not very hard to come back like that, but she's done a great job.
This is a mean little girl. I'll tell you, these girls are mean. Some of my guys wouldn't walk off the mat after a fall like that.
Yes, they're all competitors.
Flip-flop double twist here. Perfect form. Nicely done.
Sandy Woolsey, once again from Scottsdale, Arizona. And in her first tumbling run, had the problems there, but as Kelly and Hutch both pointed out, she recovered very, very nicely here. Let's take a look at the last pass.
Looks like she could use a little more running speed here going into this pass, but she did a very nice job keeping form.
We are halfway through the floor exercise. They only had 8 that qualified, which was the number to be qualified for each event, but ties brought on 10 for the vaults and 12 for the bar. We have 9 in the beams. Let's move back there now with our next competitor. In the beam, this is the best of last evening. Tara Sherwood from Canada. Her 9.70 was the best of last night.
Her routine is very original. I saw her warming up, and it almost looked Romanian. This is very difficult. Some pirouettes, handstand, similar to Phillips.
I don't think anybody's going to get as low as Christy Phillips does with that other move she makes.
Nobody has a back like Christy Phillips. Or maybe Christy doesn't have a back. Maybe that's why she can do that.
That's a gainer layout. Small bobble, maybe a 10th.
This girl's crispy style works really good on beam for her. Noticed a lot of that at the World Championships. Right, Kelly? A lot of girls really were, I don't know how to describe it, a little bit jerky even, but it seems to work.
Yes, their movements are very, very sharp.
That's the word, sharp.
That was unique as a flip-flop with a half turn. Doesn't look very hard, but it is quite difficult. Flip-flop with 2 feet into a layout back.
She's really solid.
She's doing an awesome job so far. very expressive. Her movements are so pure and just simple. They look fantastic.
Wow.
Very, very. Oh, nice dismount there. She did flip-flop with 2 feet into a double back.
So
A little bit low, but it was awesome.
This 12-year